intended to be tonight. Unfortunately, because of the weather, I couldn't be where I had intended, which is to be standing in front of this remarkable building here. So I went virtual. This building, if it doesn't look familiar to you, is the Old Whalers Church, otherwise known as the First Presbyterian Church here in Sag Harbor, New York. And as I've been doing for the other nights of Hanukkah, which I hope you've been enjoying as much as I have, I've been trying to go around to different areas and different places that are really unique and special in our wonderful Sag Harbor. And the Whalers Church is actually an interesting choice for a number of different reasons, which I'll explain in a moment, because certainly one wouldn't naturally imagine that it seems either appropriate or the most logical choice to celebrate Hanukkah in front of a church. But I'll do my best to explain in a second why that is. But first, as I said, just a little bit of general history. The First Presbyterian Church, as we know it as the Old Whalers Church in Sag Harbor, is a historic and architecturally notable church that was built all the way back in 1844, one of the rare places in Sag Harbor that is older than our temple. And as you can see, it is built in a unique architectural design. I'm sorry, my hands are a little blurry because of all this, but as you'll see here, pointing up, this is what's called the Egyptian Revival style. The church was declared a National Historic Landmark in 1994, and it's the only such landmark in Sag Harbor. And originally, the church itself was topped with a 185-foot steeple that was visible to ships rounding Montauk Point as a welcoming beacon. The steeple was lifted off intact by the 1938 hurricane and smashed ultimately into the old burial ground, and it ultimately was never rebuilt. And in a moment, I'll show you a picture of what it looked like with the steeple itself. The other key piece, which I'll explain in a little bit more in a moment, is the wonderful food pantry that is run out of the Sag Harbor church here as we see it, and is a 100% volunteer outreach program. And as I mentioned last night, was the focus of the fourth night of our social justice work and our fourth day, as it were, of that work as well. And just to remind everyone that the mission of our local food pantry is to provide emergency food assistance to needy residents in our community. The pantry provides food assistance to an average of between 180 and 200 people per week, including seniors, adults, and children. So certainly an important piece of our community here and some of the work that we are doing. But just very quickly, I wanted to show you, I'm going to share screen. Hopefully this will work. And let me go into present mode here so you can see it a little bit better. This, as I said, is what the church looked like when it originally had its steeple. And as you can tell, 185 feet is quite large. Unfortunately, as we pointed out, in the hurricane of 1938, it came toppling down, a decision ultimately never to rebuild it. But certainly one of the more unique physical landmarks that we have in Sag Harbor. But as I said, sort of what is the logic of a rabbi at least intending to be lighting a Hanukkah in front of the church? And as I said, would have been the case had I been able to be out in the rain tonight. So why, right? So the first thing I just want to remind everyone, and maybe our community is not familiar with, but for many, many years, my colleague Rabbi Jan Urbach and her community of the Conservative Synagogue of the Hamptons met very much in the Old Whalers Church right down the street. And for many years, that community welcomed everybody in with open arms. And many people may not know that it's also the LGBTQ center, which again is emblematic of really the values of this wonderful church that has been so welcoming to the community at large and has become such a important part of our Sag Harbor landscape. And especially, as I said, very specifically to demonstrate, and I think it's important, especially this time of year, especially this year of all years, to really highlight these kinds of partnerships and relationships and understandings. And especially for, I grew up in New York City. I grew up as part of Congregation B'nai Jeshurun. And at one point, the ceiling collapsed, and we were basically without a place to worship. And the local church right down the street ultimately housed and continues to have a relationship with B'nai Jeshurun. So many examples of this kind of relationship are really important. And one of the key ideas this year of highlighting these different places around Sag Harbor is to remind us, while on the one hand, the temple is something that we feel the most connected to. I think any of us that are privileged to really live in Sag Harbor and to understand that we are part of this wider community, that the Whalers Church is really a very, very big part of that narrative. And as I said, also just to highlight the work of the food pantry, and as you can see in this picture, those that are temple members will recognize at least a few smiling faces. I know I see Howard, and I see Marcia, and I see Marlise Silverberg there somewhere. And I know that there are many more who probably just aren't in the picture. Diane Lewis, I can see. Many more people who contribute to every single week, and especially during the pandemic, have really done pretty remarkable work. And we just want to remind everybody that even though this was the focus for last night's celebration, that we are still accepting donations to the food pantry. You can make those donations at the temple. At the parking lot just up the ramp, you'll see a bin that says food pantry donations. If you have any questions, you can call the office, and we're accepting through December 18th, just during working hours, so we can make sure. And also, again, just non-perishable food items, nothing that can be disrupted while waiting for pickup. And so, as I said, I think these are all very important things to remind us why the Old Whalers Church is such a hallmark and significant part of the Sag Harbor community. And certainly I'm very grateful for the many pastors that I've gotten to know who've worked there over the years. And I know in my predecessor, Rabbi Morris, had the same kinds of relationships. And we as a temple community really appreciate the fact that, that we were able to connect in so many important kinds of ways. So while it may seem, as I said at the beginning, a bit unusual to be celebrating Hanukkah with a picture of a church in the background, I hope I've sufficiently explained as to why it is so important, actually, that tonight of all nights, on our 5th night of Hanukkah, that we celebrate this particular wonderful place and its community as well. So just as we said, just highlighting again that every night as we reach night 5 of Hanukkah, our wonderful social justice committee and our incredible temple administrator, Eileen Moskowitz, and our Hebrew school director, Shelley Lichtenstein, helped to arrange for a number of volunteer opportunities and giving opportunities throughout the holiday where we can direct our intentions to positive things. And so this night, as we were focusing on feeding the hungry last night here in Sag Harbor and our connection to the local food pantry, we also think about, as a temple community, our brothers and sisters in Israel, and reminding ourselves that, while they may be half a world away, that we are still connected to them, and we try as best as we can as a temple throughout. I know Rabbi Morris's tenure and mine as well. We've tried to remain connected to Leket Israel, which is known as the National Food Bank of the State of Israel. And so you can make donations directly to them, as you can see here, the link on Leket's website. And any donation, big or small, can make an impact for sure. So we appreciate, again, just drawing attention to this important organization. And if you feel so inclined to make a donation, as we said, to Leket Israel on this, the 5th night of Hanukkah. And with that, I'm going to now invite you, if you have your candles at home, hope you can still see me. And the only thing I'm going to do is just drop out my virtual background. We'll say goodbye to the church for a second here, and we're back magically to Rabbi Dan's house, in the Geffen household. And I have my Hanukkah behind me, so you're welcome to join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehasa nisim lavoteinu Bayamim Hahem Bazman Hazeh. And as we get our candles set here, I'll come back over and turn off our share screen so I can wish you a happy 5th night of Hanukkah. Chag Urim Sameach. May this be a night filled with light and joy for all of you. It's been such a great thing to be able to celebrate all these nights, even virtually, with everyone. And for those that were part of our temple party last night, we hope that you enjoyed that as well. And again, my gratitude to my incredible staff and partnership and leadership of the temple, to all of you for tuning in. And just a reminder again, the only thing that we do with these lights is simply to sit back and enjoy them, to really appreciate everything that the lights of this festival of Hanukkah bring to each and every one of us. And again, to wish you all a Chag Urim Sameach. Be safe, and tune in again tomorrow night, weather permitting. I will be in another location somewhere in Sag Harbor, and we hope that you've been enjoying this as much as I have. Chag Sameach, everyone. Take care, and see you tomorrow night.